Camo Redline here, doing a little testing on some intakes on this Banshee. It's a 10 mil 66.25 bore cub. This is on race gas, 20 cc domes, like 192 degrees exhaust. It is a serval cylinder we did some porting on. 5 degrees timing. He's running sheer small bore end frames. This is my dyno bike, so that's why it's such a disaster. So if you ship your motor in, your motor may be beautiful and it goes in this jalopy. But small bore shears, 39 PWKs, 178 mains, 52 or 55 pilots, CEL needles in the 4th position. Now, we did not change any jetting with these intakes. Yeah, you should go through and chase your jetting a little bit to get max, but this is just to kind of show you what different intakes do to your power curve, where it's moving it and what kind of works. Here's all the intakes that we tested. So we have UPPs here. These are kind of the standard ones. Softer boots. No grinding on them or anything. Just match right up to the V-Force 4s that we had in there. The V-Force 4s we had no modifications whatsoever. The customer has these intakes. These would be a Mattoon machine intake. These have been around forever. Used lots of them. They do have a crossover, internal crossover you can kind of see in there. Have a little bullseye. Good Mikuni boots. I like these Mikuni boots. These are the VM 36-200s because they're nice and soft. These are my favorite. I see less vibration in the carburetors with these Mikuni boots. Got the Chariot intake. So their 39mm one crossover. Does have the crossover inside there. They have a little single bridge in there. Now with these ones, you take out the stuffer because you can see the difference between the Chariot on the left and the Mattoon on the right. Take the stuffer out, you have a lot of air right there. I'm not a huge fan of that because I feel you drop a lot of airspeed when you take that out for a 39mm carb or 41mm carb. You can see the PWK, not PWKs, but the UPPs. They're bigger, but they're still pretty small. These are our billet intakes. We match the size up to the V-Force 4 reeds. Does have the crossover you can see there. I do like the crossover. I don't see any horsepower, but I do see a little throttle response with certain motors. Not every motor, but I tend to like it. Just works good. Same thing, we run the VM 36-200 intake boots because we like how soft they are. Underneath our boot though, we do have an O-ring that seals it. These other two, we do have to silicone the boot to that because sometimes since you are holding your carburetor up with this, it starts to flex that boot down. That's a lot of weight on that boot. They're not made just to hold a carburetor up their whole life and bounce around. So we did put a big O-ring underneath ours to do that. Other than that, it just matches up. Ours are a true 41, so they're a little big for a 39, but we bore a lot of these carbs out to alcohol and do it that way. So we made these more for the drag pipes, drag bikes that are running shear in frames because they'll clear, or out of frames. So they work really good. So those are the 4 intakes that we tested, all back to back to back. We let it cool down about 30 to 45 minutes in between each one and try them. Now here's the numbers. Zoom in there. So on these ones, if I can hold this here, you can see the red one is what the customer has. It is 109.29. That's with the Mattoons. They worked really good. Actually, all the stuff up here too has the name and which ones they are. So the Mattoons are the red ones. The red line's the blue one, which made more peak, but we did get killed on the bottom down there. But we did make it more for a drag intake. More for the upper end, so it does work really good there. Next one down is the Chariot, the green one. Chariot did good off the bottom, lost the most on top though. As far as the billet intakes go, it only made 108.91. And then the last one, the orange one, is the UPPs. They were 107.66. These are the air fuel curves. So you can see the difference in air fuel. Mine was the leanest. UPP was the richest, so you could definitely tweak those and bring them up or down a little bit. But it's interesting seeing just change an intake out, what it does to jetting and how it changes that. And see, with ours, I would probably like to jump the pilot jet up a little bit. you know, probably the needle maybe a little bit. You could always take the main up if you wanted to bring it down, but you're always gonna have a lean spot on a 2-stroke with AFR readings because the pipe's just not working down here at 6,500, 7 grand. So kind of why you see that. I don't really pay any attention on AFR until, you know, 8, 9 grand for just a main jet change is all I do with it. If we go to torque, I'm gonna get rid of the horsepower now so you can see better. Torque side of things, go back up here. So the Mattoon's made 59, ours made 59.45. See, the Chariot's 58.87, and the UPP's 58.53. They're all real similar. Like I said, ours lost the most on bottom there. Everyone else was about the same in the mid-range there. So ours had a little better over revs. So what you lose on ours there, you gain on top. I think for all-around riding on there, depending on what pipes you have, it'd be UPPs or the Mattoons. They're going to have the best throttle response for a 39. If I was going drag racing, I'd run mine or the Chariots. I'd obviously run mine, but those would be the two there. I think ours would make the most horsepower on a drag motor, especially on alcohol. You're not ever riding that bike down 7,500 RPM, so who cares what it does there. Ours revved out better and did everything like that, but it was interesting to see how they all did. I was really surprised on some of them. Just a silly little intake, you know, can make a little bit of a difference. The biggest thing you got to pay attention to, though, is pipes. Like, most of these billet ones don't clear very well with CPIs, because since they're billet and they have this crossover in there, it's pushing your intake up and back to get that intake in there. Where the UPPs, they're a lot thinner. You can fit most of these in there with CPIs. So if you're gonna run them, you're better off to run UPPs with like a lot of in-frame pipes, like CPIs, shears, maybe, not shears, excuse me, snipers. They're gonna clear better. T5s are gonna clear better, stuff like that. If you're running out of frames and everything, I honestly like the billet ones if you don't mind the little weight from the billet, because I like the soft intake boots. On the dyno with alcohol motors, we'll see the carbs shake enough that we'll get some air in the power jet lines just because of the vibrations of the motor. So we will kind of play around with that. So just little thoughts there. Like I said, I know I should have changed all the jets around, but I didn't have all that time today to do all that, and the customer's gonna run the Mattoon ones because that's what he had, and they worked really good on there. So hope you liked it. Thanks.